Greetings folks, today I'm bringing you an update to my dual cast Pure Mage. Nerfs to critical strike upgrades didn't make this build any weaker at all, and without doubt Mage is still one of the safest and easiest way of playing this game. Like archers, we don't have to grind for arrows, and since we are a double caster we save on upgrades because we don't use a wand. However, this same setup will still work with a clear span if you are not interested in double casting. The core principles are still the same. We want spell power, we want to be in high critical strike range, and then we stack as much mana as possible to convert missing mana in spell power. In this video we'll go through the Endgame Gear setup, alternative gear, where to find it, how to put your attributes, and skill tree during leveling. And yes, you can play this build in the base game, you don't need to be New Game Plus to play it. Let's begin. Okay, let's look at our gear. First of all, the spell selection. This build doesn't require any specific spell to work. In the timestamp you will find the location of most of the spells that I used for this build. My advice is to use spells with a different mana cost. So for example, you can use Storm Piercer with Hailstorm, and by combining them you can benefit from our perks. For the rest of the gear, no item here is required. However, if you pick different item than me, you will have to adjust your stats because we still want to reach a good level of critical strike between 80 to 100. Even 80 would be good enough. For Helm, you have several options. The crafted Crown of the Netherbloom I kinda like because it will give you damage. This uptime is gonna be up most of the time. And it will also help with your mana recovery if your critical strike is high enough. Crown of the Netherbloom, I will explain later how to craft it. If you do not want to craft it, then you have another option. Spell Warden will give you the highest amount of mana recovery. 50% is quite a lot. It will offer you no raw damage bonus. Otherwise, if you do not want to even craft Spell Warden, Queen Crown will help you with your crit and will also give you spell damage, but will give you no mana recovery. Otherwise, you can go with Archdruid, but too many points in endurance for my liking. But they're still good. For back item, really two options here. Netherbloom, back item, I really like, will give you some crit, and overall it's very good. If you do not want to craft this one, then Usurper, it's a decent choice. For chest, several options here as well. The crafted Frozen Seer Vestment are very exceptional for this build because we stack over 1k mana. Every missing point of mana will give you 0.5% of spell power. Otherwise, if you do not want to craft this one, you can go with Royal Gown. Good, will also help your crit and it's still gonna be an item you will use through your leveling. Royal will help you a lot in the base game to get your critical chance up. Otherwise, Usurper, it's a choice. As a reminder, you get Usurper and Queen if you do not side with the Mushroom in Act 2. If you side with the Mushroom in Act 2 and you cannot get these items anymore, well then you can always use the Druid sets from the various acts. Archdruid is not amazing, but it still gives you quite decent chunk of mana. Because this build will convert mana in HP, our health pool is also quite good despite having low endurance. The other option is Spellslinger. So even if you cannot get Usurper or Royal, that is still good. For gloves, I'm using Royal. If you cannot get Royal, you can use Night Stalker, then Spellslinger. Archdruid are also very good. For Amulet, a lot of options. I would highly advise you to get the Archdruid. Even the base game one, pretty much half of the stats, but the critical chance, which is the one that we care, is still 20%. However, Archdruid New Game Plus will give you a lot of mana, so Archdruid is an option. Before Archdruid, use the Horned Warden from the Druid Shrine in Act 2, or even like the Waning Moon from Act 1. Other option for raw damage is Amulet of the Novice Ogre Hunter. However, you need mana on this build, so I do not advise it. But it's still a lot of damage, so up to you. For pants, Spellward and Trouser, those are crafted. I will highly advise to at least craft the pants, regardless of what you do with other items. Because the alternative for pants will be Royal Breeches, which will give you some crit. However, the raw damage is not comparable because we have a lot of mana. For boots, so in the previous build we had issue with dumping mana. Now it's not an issue anymore because Spell Warden will make our spell cost an insane amount. It will also give you quite a huge chunk of spell power. Now, if you do not want to play this way, because if you miss, for example, your mana recovery is gonna go in the trash. If you are not using mana recovery sources, like for example Crown of the Netherbloom, or you're not getting the perks that I'm getting for mana recovery, then sustaining Spell Warden is gonna be super hard. So other option are Horned Warden, they are still good, still give you a lot of critical damage. We do not multiply spell power on this build, we don't have Claire. If you're using Claire and you want to use this setup, then please don't use Horned Warden, you need spell power. Royal Sleeper are good, they're very good. Spell Slinger is also an option. 4 rings, which is gonna be the final section of the gear. During leveling, use critical chance rings, this will help you a lot. If you are okay with critical chance, then mana rings. Okay, let's look at our attributes. Normally, I would allocate them. However, this build is so simple that we don't need to. In Act 1, get 6 points of spirituality and 6 points of endurance. Afterward, put that spirituality to 15 and that endurance to 10. And all the rest of the points will go in perception to adjust your critical strike. If you want, you can put points in perception earlier. However, most of the gear that we use, except the crafted parts, will only require endurance and spirituality. So it's quite hard to mess up. Now, how many points of perception should I put? I would advise you to at least put 10 points of perception. Afterward, you can put more if you need them or less if you don't. Depends on what changes of gear that you do. So make sure that your critical strike is okay. Otherwise, you will not do as much damage. I will quickly go through my suggested order for leveling. We start in spirituality. 1 point in mana battery, 1 point in power and swiftness. If you're gonna do the Deer Shrine in Act 1, otherwise you can take this one later. If you are in doubt about the best start for this build, check my previous one. The starting section is literally the same. We go in combat. Max Arcane Teaching, maxed charged cantrip. However, a small note here. If you're planning to use 2 copies of the same spell, Charged Cantrip and Infused Incantation will not work for you. 3 points in Tiresome Wave, 1 point in Imbibed by the Element, and then Elemental Shock. Then we are gonna go back in Spirituality. We max Mana Battery, 2 points in Invigorating Energy, 2 points in Sorcerer Efficiency. A critical hit will restore 50% of its mana cost. That's amazing. You need to take this one regardless. We go in Dexterity. If you want, you can get these points earlier, of course. Strong Arm of the Bowmaster, Marksman. We go in Perception. 3 points in Extra Lucky, 1 point in Critical Cascade, 1 point in Respite and Cruelty, 2 points in Critical Aegis, Bloodthirst. This is gonna be our only source of self-healing. Then we max go for the eyes. We go in Dexterity. This is another defensive layer that I would suggest you to take. I now take this on any build because it's incredibly strong, ulted and devs nerf it. Agility, Fast Reflexes, Temporal Sleep. We go back in Spirituality, 3 points in Arcane Mark, 3 points in Impactful Spellcasting. We go back in Perception, we take 2 points in Deep Wound, not more. This is how we generate bleed. 3 points in Practicality. Red Death, Plague Warden, incredibly powerful. It will help keeping you alive, even though you're a mage and technically this is a bit overkill. It's still good to be safe. Afterward, 1 point in Crying Pain, 1 point in Grieve Type Enemies, 2 points in Weeping Success, 2 points in Long Regret, Max Crying Pain, Give It and Give Up, 3 points in Generating Extra Stacks, 1 point in Weeping Success. I'm gonna max the entire Red Death tree if you have spare points. Now, Born in Armor maxed, 3 points in Armored Skin for some extra armor. 1 point in Tranquility, 3 points in Eldritch Desperation, 3 points in Increased Vitality, and we are officially done point-wise. Now, if you want to play this build with a wand, you absolutely can. However, if you want to do that, give up this section of the tree. Just take Arcane Conduit, One Mastery, Feedback Loop, and Caster Focus. And this is like your wand tree.
Oh. Back already? Oh, and I want. Have you? Oh, but we believe you have no. I hear. I'm.
Hello.
To craft the Netherbloom set, you need to gather monster resin. These can only be done, however, twice in the game. You can get up to 20 monster resin, so be careful to not waste it. To get the first 10, you need to start the Alchemist questline in Act 1, located here. And then you need to continue until you finish the quest over dead bodies that you can see here. Afterward, to get the remaining, you need to go to the Stone Warden village and proceed with their own quest.
If he smart, I go. Oi, Noel. What if I pulled Excalibur from that stone, but only at the tip? Would I still get to be king, or not?
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and maybe subscribe for more RPG content. We shall see what the future holds for us. I hope it's a bright one. At least that's the only form of copium that I have left. Have fun playing Tainted Grail. If you have any question, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.